Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here this Sunday. Early in February, winter, Groundhog Day. Winter is going to be almost over soon, guys. It's when you get to this time of year. It's now what we're looking at. We're looking at a picture here. Let's zoom in. See all this? These are containers, and it goes on for miles and miles and miles on both sides of where I'm looking. This might be where World War III starts. I'm showing you right now. Let's zoom out. We say, well, what is this place? It's going to become more obvious as I go up into space. Some sort of a port, isn't it? Okay. As we zoom out, we can see what it is. And we can see where it is. Any of you guys got a guess where we're looking at? Yet? You figured it out yet? You know where it is now. As I zoom out, you can tell. Panama Canal. Listen, guys. This is very serious. What's going on right now? Let's take a look at this. Now, I just showed you the Panama Canal, and I said it could be the beginning of World War III. Let's take a look here. These are pictures of the Panama Canal, but we're going to switch. We're going to switch to the Arctic Ocean. And this is where it's all... Whoops. Hold on. There. This is where it's all settling down to. You see, Russia's on one side, to your right, there. And on the other side is North America. And the Arctic Ocean's right in the middle between the two. See, when you guys think of World War III, you look at the maps and stuff, you think that it's going to be a fight from east to west. It's going to be a fight over the pole. That big white blob right in there, it's called the Arctic Ocean. You ever played, the kids used to play a game, called King of the Mountain or King of the Hill, I remember one time my father and my grandfather were building a house, and my memories goes back to the King of the Hill game is, there's no gravel in Florida, and they were building a house in Florida, my grandfather and my father, and they ordered in this big load of crushed gravel to make a driveway. And the big dump truck come in and he poured the load. And us kids, while that load was there, that crushed gravel, us boys, we were actually playing the game King of the Hill. Well, they get up on top of that pile of gravel, and some other boys would come up and try to knock you off, But that white Arctic Ocean there, that is like that big heap of gravel. And they're all going to fight over it because it's going to be the new world trade route. Best trade route ever once the ice melts. It's melting fast. They say 5 years from now there won't be hardly any ice left up there. And they'll be able to get through, and it cuts off like, I think the trade route they use now is like 12,000 miles. And this knocks it down to 7,000 miles. That's a big cut in how far you have to go with a ship. And it'll be easy to keep it open. And so not only are they fighting over world trade on the Arctic Ocean, but it's also the very center. It's the King of the Hill. It's the big pile of gravel that the boys are going to fight over, knock each other down. And so they need that Arctic Ocean if they're going to stand a chance to they're thinking in terms of let's win World War III. I know it sounds crazy, but the generals, the top generals and stuff, the guys, the commanders and stuff, they're probably telling NORAD command or whatever. I can just imagine they're probably at the Pentagon pounding their desks on the table and saying, we need to control this if we're going to stand any chance in this upcoming war that's building to right now. And they're getting ready for war. Russia, China's building nuclear weapons like it's going out of style. Like they're flipping them off like it's pancakes, and they're having a big breakfast dinner. Another nuclear weapon, probably building like one a day or whatever. They were 300 nuclear weapons. I think they're going to have 600 soon or something. They're all preparing. And this is the big thing, is the Arctic Ocean. They have to have control. And so what stands in the middle between the United States and control of the Arctic Ocean? Two things, Greenland and Canada. You see, so we got Russia over here on the right, and we got Greenland and Denmark, or Denmark's Greenland right there, and Canada right there, and the only place that's really close to the Arctic Ocean is Alaska. Well, they already got Alaska, so now you know. And so I was talking about Panama as the third thing that Trump's talking about. And then it's all connected because they got to get troops and stuff and ships through the Panama Canal. They have to have control over the Panama Canal. This is the three very important things for the setup for the war that's coming. They have to get squared away, in other words, so that they can gain the high ground, which is the Arctic Ocean. They got to get this stuff squared away. And they're doing it now because they can see the war's probably coming up in 26 or 27. And so they got to get prepared. And General Milley, he already put out a memo about a year or so ago. And he laid it out, you know. The big war is China and the United States. In fact, the war in Ukraine might just have some sort of a settlement by then, you know, by the time that China starts to think about taking Taiwan. And here's the thing, and why I say that World War III might begin when they try to take the Panama Canal. China has got a firm grip right. I'm going to tell you, just look at the infrastructure, like in the Panama Canal. We were just down there a second ago. Where was it? Well, I was showing it to you a second ago, but it's right here, I think. This amazing infrastructure on both sides. From what I understand, China has control of the entrance and exit, and it would have cost them a tremendous amount of money and effort and time and everything else working with the government of Panama. Now, Panama, the canal is controlled by Panama, but China has interests in the entrance and exit. So it's almost like Panama controls the canal, but China's like standing right next to them. And China's the big money man and big power, standing right next to them. And China's invested a lot in this project. And they've probably been thinking about the war. See, here's the entrance, and I guess evidently it's the entrance and the exit. So here's the entrance. You can just see that it's tremendous amount of infrastructure is built up around the entrance and exit of the Panama Canal. And how much investment's China got in that? And what I understand, it's substantial. I mean, I haven't calculated exactly what it is, China's investment in it, but I know it's probably in the billions, many billions, and a lot of time and a lot of effort. And they're standing right next to the Panama government. And America says, okay, we're taking it all back. We gave it to you during Jimmy Carter administration, but basically we need it for, we need it because we're preparing here, and we need it back. We want it back. We're going to take it back. And they didn't rule out military action. They did not rule out military action to take this back. Do you really think if America decides to use... Now, America's already used the soft approach. So right now, this is what they're doing with Canada. This is what they're doing with Greenland. This is what they're doing with the Panama Canal. They've come out and it's been shock and awe. They say, okay, we want it all. America says, we want it all. Everybody drops their jaw in shock and awe in Panama, in Canada, and in Greenland. They're all like, oh. But once the shock goes away, they can say, is this real? Is this for real? And that's a soft approach. They've probably sat back And they've probably discussed all this ahead of time before Trump even mentioned it. They knew what they were going to do. And they probably got a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. And it's probably all been thought out already. I'm talking about on the American side. And plan A is probably the soft approach. And that's where we're at right now, the soft approach. This is the soft approach. And will China just say, okay, America, we've got all this investment down the Panama Canal. We've got all this working with the Panamanians and everything else, and we put a lot of time and effort into this. Sure, we'll give it to you, America. You can take it all back. Here, have it. What have we invested? How many billions? Okay, take it all. Take it all back. With the way China feels about everything right now, you think that's going to go over? Or do you think there's going to be a fight if America tries to take it by force? So right now we're in plan A, the soft approach with Canada. They're being soft with Canada. They're being soft with Greenland. They're being soft with this canal. That's probably plan A. If plan A doesn't work, then we'll probably be on to plan B. If plan B doesn't work, then we're probably going to be on to plan C. Because they have to have this for national security. And, I am not going to poo-poo that. The world's moving toward war right now. I'm talking about all out war. And I'm going to tell you guys straight up front. If America were to just disappear for some reason, tomorrow morning, gone. America's gone. America's not there to guard all of the Europe. They're not there to guard Canada. They're not there to guard. If they were just gone, they just disappeared. 1 week from now, if America disappeared, within 1 week there'd be troops landing on the shores in North America, and they would not be American troops. I'm going to think about that for a minute. So America's standing guard for all the nations of the Western world. Meanwhile, the Eastern world's building up weapons as fast as they can toward this escalation, this massive escalation. Okay, so what's Canada going to do? Canada's got to deal with these tariffs. Canada's not a rich country. It's going to bust Canada to pieces. And Trudeau fell for it, for crying out loud. The leader of Canada. He fell for it. All the information was clearly there. Trump told him, we don't need your this, we don't need your that, we don't need your pulp, your lumber, we don't need your minerals, we don't need your oil, we don't need any of what you got. He told him that already. So that was a piece of information that stood stuck with Trudeau. Trudeau said okay, and that information stood stuck. And Trump meant it. We don't need it. America doesn't need Canada. Period. Right? And so somehow it seemed the Canadian government must have flew right over their heads, because somehow they think that their tariffs that they're going to levy back on the United States is going to get them someplace. Well, I'll tell you where it's going to get them. It's going to get them from a 25% tariff to a 50% tariff, because he already told them that's what would happen if they retaliate. You're retaliating against a superpower. What do you hope to obtain? Do you think you could beat them in a war? You think you can beat the Americans in a war? They got 5,000 nuclear weapons. The hard approach is probably the gut reaction of the Canadian government. That's the gut reaction. It's the hard approach. They throw tariff at us, we'll throw twice back at them. It's going to be like shooting an elephant with an airsoft gun. It's just going to make if it does anything, it's just going to make them mad. And then you're going to get your 50% tariff. Canada might have survived the 25%. Will they survive a 50%? It's going to knock the hell out of them. But we're going to have to wait and see. How far they want to escalate with this situation? How far do they want to do they want a tit for tat, and how far do they want to uh, escalate the situation? They're in a situation right now. Is that the best thing to do? To to just constantly retaliate, or is it maybe a better idea to sit down at the table and have a calm, rational discussion about all these things? Because America and Canada have been friends for a long time, and the people in Canada, how they consider the American people is friends. We're friends. You know what I mean? And you don't want to change this just because our governors and our politicians, are do they speak for the Canadian people? Because we want to stay friends. We don't want to. This the whole world's going to war. The Western nations need to stick together, and they need to work together against the real ones out there who want to, instead of attacking one another. You know what I mean? We got to work together. It's very important. So Trump has put these tariffs, and Trudeau is urging people to buy made in Canada. See, that's part of the let's get even with them. We'll only buy Canadian-made goods and so on. And he says the pain. Trump says the pain will be worth the price. Now, Poliver, I'm not pronouncing his name right. He's urging Liberals to recall Parliament. Uh, so they're going to recall the Canadian Parliament over this. This situation is huge for Canada, but it's not much for the United States. And a lot of the people I'm talking to live in the United States. They don't realize just how big and how powerful this is going to hit Canada. It's going to be a real shock. Now, Brussels, they're facing tariffs too. The European Union, they're bracing for a trade war. In fact, what is this effect going to have on precious metals prices? Listen, guys, I'm going to talk about Bitcoin for a minute here on the show. I heard about somebody out there who is selling all of their silver to take it and trade it for Bitcoin right now. Bitcoin's hot. It's really hot. But you guys know what Bitcoin does. And it's done it over and over and over again since the inception in 2009. We can see a clear pattern. Bitcoin goes into bull and bear cycles. I'm telling you something. You're saying, oh, come on, Glenn, that's the obvious. We all know about that. Yeah, you think you know about that. But it is such a pattern. It's done it over and over and over again. The first time it went up to like the early times. When it was early starting, I remember it went up to like $20, and then it fell back down to like $1, and then it went up to like the second time it went up to like $200, and it fell back to $60, and then the third time it is a very and all the way each time it makes it higher than it was before, but then when it falls back, it gets cut in half. And it's done that like 6 or 7 times. And it's such a pattern that you can almost tell people when it's going to do this. So it always does it. And we're in this bull cycle right now. It's going to do, well, I can't tell you guys it's going to do it because you don't know for absolute certain. But it's very likely that it's going to do the same thing again that it's done like 6 or 7 times in a row, and that means it's probably going to go up, continue this rise until it falls, and then it goes into a bear market again. It's getting ready for its bear market. I can't see it. This is just my opinion only. Don't take it to the bank. Don't go out and mortgage your house on anything I'm saying, but I think that it's going to make it up somewhere between where it is right now. What is it, 103 or something thousand? I think it's going to peak somewhere before 150. And I'm being kind of conservative there. It might peak sooner. And then we're going to see it get cut in half. Just like it's done it's going to go back into a bear. And it's so bad people make jokes about it, like I saw these kids doing a TikTok and they say this is what it's like to invest in Bitcoin. The kid was sitting in front of a garage door, and I guess he had his friend behind the garage door, but he had the garage door open like 6 inches, and then the garage door shut. He'd shut the garage door. And so he said, this is what it's like investing in Bitcoin. He sat in front of the garage door, he took a buck and he threw it under the garage door, and $5 spit out. And he's like, wow, great. And then he throws the $5 in underneath the garage door, and $100 spits out. Oh, great! And he throws the 100 back in, and then 1,000 spits out, and then he throws 1,000 back in, and expecting 10,000 to spit out. No, the garage door shuts, and that's it. He's lost his 10,000. That's what it's like investing in Bitcoin. Seriously. Now, on the other side of this coin, silver and gold are getting ready for something big. They've never experienced the big time that like crypto's experienced. So he's selling all of his silver to buy Bitcoin right now when Bitcoin's hot. That might be the biggest mistake he ever made, whoever it was. Who was it? I can't remember. I watched it yesterday, I think, and I can't remember who it was. But I saw there's somebody selling out all of their silver for Bitcoin right now. I think that'd be a big. I just my personal opinion. I think that would be a huge mistake. Now, I mean, is buying Bitcoin a mistake? No, not if you buy it when we're not in a bull market. It's a very good purchase if we're not in a bull market with Bitcoin. But when Bitcoin's hot and you're in a bull market, man, you're taking some chance buying that stuff. Yeah, sure, it's 103,000 or whatever right now. I haven't checked the price this morning. I checked it last night. I think it was 103,000. Yeah, sure, it's over 100,000 right now, and it could go up to 110, it could go up to 120, or even 150. But then what happens? It crashes so quick you can't even get out in time. You're at work there, you're having lunch or whatever, you hear that Bitcoin's crashing. Before you can drive home, it might lose like $10,000. Anyway, just saying, guys. Just saying. But it's great to buy it when maybe 6 months or 8 months from now, Bitcoin might be like 75 or 60,000. You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. Because it's done this over and over. That's the time to buy it. If you're going to buy it. Because it'll drift along like that. 50, 60, 70,000 for the next 2 years. And then it'll go into another bull cycle again. And what'll it do in the next bull cycle? Probably 250,000. But it might be 3 years from now or 4 years from now. But it'll probably cross 250,000 on the next bull cycle. You got to time the bull cycles with Bitcoin, and the time to buy it when it's in a bear, nobody wants it. That's when to buy. When the sentiment is terrible to Bitcoin, that's when to buy it. Right now, anyway, listen, guys, tough world out there. The problem is the next bull cycle in Bitcoin, we might be in the middle of something huge with these wars and stuff. There's going to come a time when all of this is behind us, Mike, in the 2030s. As said, we got to go through this turbulence. Thank you guys for listening to my show. You guys have a great rest of the weekend. We'll catch you guys soon. And there's going to be some changes to my channel I'm planning. We're going to go back to broadcasting a bit more than we're doing now. We're just doing Sundays right now. We're going to be doing a little bit more again as the weather starts to warm up. It's very difficult here in the winter. A lot of extra things I have to do. Winter proofing, it makes everything hard, especially like when it's been really cold like it's been the last week. we haven't even made it near freezing for the last week. I mean, we've been the closest we've made is like 26 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the closest we've made it to freezing, and mostly we've been way below that. We've been uh, down like typically like right now outside. It's only like maybe 5 or 10 degrees, 5 degrees maybe, or something like that Fahrenheit. You know, it's what is it right now? I think it's minus 14 outside Celsius. That's what it is outside, and this is the middle of the afternoon. The sun's shining. You know, in the sun, it's like 14 degrees below Celsius in the sun, and then when the wind blows, oh my gosh, it goes right through you. And you know, so times like this, you got to. I don't have central heat, so I have to maintain 10 my heaters and make sure that they're running correctly and everything, and I have to shovel all the snow. And we've been getting a lot of snow too the last week, so it's a bit of extra work around trying to keep things running during the winter time. It's a time kind of to hunker down and think about what you're going to do in the spring. So I'm going to do a few more shows in the spring than I'm doing now. Probably going to increase it to at least 2 a week, maybe more. Maybe 3 a week or something, you know. Well, thank you guys for listening. You guys have a great afternoon. And we'll catch you guys in the next show. Bye bye.